Hello everyone and welcome back. My name is Shannon and this is Made by Boo, my little area where I am talking about knitting, crochet, whatever making I'm doing. Today it will be just knitting and a little bit of yarn acquisition and a little bit of talking about recent travels. So we'll go ahead and dive right into it. I'll get a little bit more into what my recent travels were as we keep going. But I actually just got back yesterday. We drove from where we are just outside of Boise all the way down to visit family in Colorado. We were around the Colorado Springs area for a little over a week. So having just gotten back, my brain is a little bit fuzzy. There's some things I probably should have had better notes to tell me where I was on these projects 2 weeks ago. But the upside is that for the most part, there's a lot that I have to show you that you haven't seen before, even for just 2 weeks. So I have 4 finished objects and only 1 work in progress that I worked on over the last 2 weeks. So let me go ahead and get going on those. I will need that one, that one, that one. I should have separated these out previously, but I'm really bad about doing that. So, that shouldn't be a surprise to anybody by now. The first one I need, yep, that is all of my tags for the day. So the first one, I believe you've seen this project, but I do not have a stitch marker in it. So I don't remember where I was. So the first finished object, all 4 finished objects are going to be pairs of socks, and they're all using the same base pattern. So this yarn is from Cashmere and Coconuts. It is the color Pink Lemonade. I bought this one a year ago, but I think I saw that they might have it on Etsy still this year. So I believe that 1 full sock was done and maybe almost the second sock 2 weeks ago. I don't know why I don't have a stitch marker in. I think I thought I would have these blocked and therefore I didn't bother to put one in. And the only real way for me to know for sure how far I was on them was to go back and watch myself talk last week, and I didn't have time for that with traveling. But the basic pattern is, it came with a contrasting color, so I did pop of color at top, a total of 10 rows, 1 by 1 rib, 10 rows here, slip stitch heel with the contrast color, then basic sock and a rounded toe. I use this exact same method for all the socks that you will see today. I was just kind of in the mood for shorty socks, and most of the other ones I was traveling with, so keeping the pattern the same for all of them was definitely nice. And as I said a couple weeks ago, I do remember talking about how I don't have a lot of shorty socks and that most of them are yellow. I was cleaning my hand knit sock drawer because I knew there were some that I would need to wash, and I found like 3 more pairs that I didn't know of. But now I have a bunch of nice shorty socks for the rest of the summer. As soon as I'm done filming today, these are all going to go into block. So that's part of why you can still see the ends. I usually knit over my ends except for the toe where I cast off, and then I weave that one in, block it, and once it's dry, I trim my ends. I don't know if it's actually better or not to do it that way. That's just what I do. So that is finished object number 1. Finished object number 2. So before we got on the road, I am missing a tag. So while I am searching for it, I had 2 pairs of socks that I was getting ready, planning on knitting on the drive. So from where we are to where we were going, it's about a 13-hour drive. It ends up being closer to 15 hours when you're driving with a family of 4 and you have to stop to gas up, potty breaks, even just stretch your legs. You know, you try to go quickly, but sometimes things happen. And we were actually trying not to go too quickly on the drive because I had never made this drive before, so I wanted to be able to enjoy it. And if I see something, stop. So these 2 pairs of socks each were started a little bit before I got on the road. These ones I finished first, so that's why I'm talking about them first. So when we got on the road, this yarn is from PK Yarn, and it is in the color Rainbow Raven. Add that over there. So when we got in the car, I had done my 10 rows ribbing, 10 rows there, and my heel, and I was right here getting ready to start the gusset. I did that because I used to have really bad motion sickness as a child, so it's been better since I've been an adult, and I can now sometimes knit in the car, as long as the road's not too windy, and counting stitches I didn't think I'd be able to do. So I figured if I had 2 socks that were both at that same point, I would have 55 rows before I hit the toe on each sock, and that would be more than enough for the knitting. I finished the first sock for both of these pairs on the drive down there, including the toe, and had 3 hours left. I did not want to cast the socks on while driving because then I knew I'd have to do the ribbing, the counting these rows. Like, all this first part is a lot of counting. So the last 3 hours of the drive there was kind of windy, hilly road anyways, so it probably wouldn't have worked well to knit then. So first sock was finished on the drive to Colorado. Second sock I cast on and I got going on, and then ended up finishing around July 2nd or July 3rd. I don't remember exactly which day. So these were the first pair of socks I finished on the road. Again, 10 rows 1 by 1, 10 rows, slip stitch heel, rounded toe. So the second pair of socks that I finished, and these were ones I started before. So this is the May Yarnable, and the color was Berry Citrus Bliss. So same thing, the 10 rows, slip stitch heel, went through, finished the first sock on the way there. So for the second sock, I did the ribbing, tiny ankle, slip stitch heel, and got through the gusset, and then stopped. And I wouldn't let myself work on the socks anymore so that I could save the rest of it for the trip home. So, second pair of socks. These ones I finished the second sock about 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes before I got home. So the last pair of socks, this is from Trilogy Yarns, and it is their color from their Broadway musical subscription club, and it is the color And Juliet. So this yarn I actually just brought as a backup. I thought that these 2 pairs of socks was going to be more than enough for my trip. I was very grateful I brought the other one because obviously finishing the first socks of each of them on the way there and having extra time, it wasn't the only project that I brought, but it ended up being very good that I had these. So I don't remember which sock is which, but we'll just pretend this is the first sock. This sock I started and finished on the 4th of July. The 4th of July we had just like a barbecue out at my in-laws' place. So sitting around chatting, start to finish, 1 by 1 rib, 10 rows for the ankle, slip stitch heel, all the way through the toe, finish the first sock in the first day. So on the 5th, 6th, and 5th and 6th, I worked on getting this sock to the gusset so that it would be ready to travel back. I stopped myself from continuing to work because I didn't want to run out of knitting to do on the drive back. My husband was even like, no, you're going to run out of knitting to do on the drive back. But then I ended up doing more driving on the drive back than I think either of us necessarily anticipated, including I got like the driving through construction traffic where we were stop and go. I couldn't knit then because I was driving. So I actually got through probably about half the toe, and then I ended up finishing the toe after we got home. So it's hard to feel like this counts as 3 full pairs completed on vacation because 2 of them were started before and the last one was finished after. But it was still not bad for getting 3 pairs in 2 weeks. All right, so that is all of my finished objects. Again, it's kind of an easy one on all of it because I did the same pattern knowing that I was going to be traveling for a good chunk of this last couple of weeks. And the other part of the time I was going to be at work and getting ready to travel. I think my tea is almost still too hot to drink. No, perfect. So I did have one other project that I worked on since then and brought with me. I was hoping to get this a little bit more work while I was gone. This is the project that I was actually planning on spending most of my time and effort on my travel. And so I spent quite a bit of time before we left trying to get it set up and ready to go. But then once we were there, when I was reading through the instructions on how to do the next step, it seemed like it was something that was going to take more energy and concentration than I was easily able to give it while traveling. So first the yarn. This is from Blackbird Sycamore Yarn. It is the color Petrichor. And this is my Sporti Shrug. So the last time you saw it, I put the marker in a little bit late. So it may not be exact. I just kind of forgot to put it in and then kept going. But I was about here. I left the marker in, and I probably will keep leaving the marker in to show which side is the back. So I went from here to, I don't know, about there. And then picked up and knit the front. And then joined in the round. It definitely looks a little bit ripply here. I didn't want it to be too tight and not able to get over my head and stretch to where it needed to be. I have tried it on. So with this pattern, with the Sporti Shrug, obviously ends everywhere. So in the pattern, it shows that it's supposed to end about here and then be sleeves. Looking at it, I was fairly sure it was going to be longer than that. I don't know if there was something that I was doing weird. I don't know. But when I tried it on, it actually came down to about mid-chest level there versus collarbone. I'm okay with that. But it was definitely a little bit like, well, I don't know what I did wrong. Maybe I could have sized it down a little bit and then it would have stretched differently. So yeah, there's not a ton to say on my progress. I'm definitely, I think, glad that I went ahead. By the yardage, it said I should have been able to do it with 2 hanks. This is the end of the first one. So I think I'm going to be very glad that I went ahead and bought a third one. I bought the third one based on what I had seen. I saw this pattern, Nitty Natty was doing it, or Love and Stitches podcast. I'm never quite sure exactly which name to put where when there's multiple ones. But she said she used 3, and I'm pretty sure she's smaller than I am. So I'm glad I ordered the third one because I almost didn't. I think I will need it. But we will see once I get going on the sleeves. I am hoping to be able to get it cast on later today. And I think this may be a little bit looser than the pattern is intended to be. So maybe my entire problem is that I should have sized down. But, I mean, I don't want it to be so tight that it's uncomfortable. That's not what I want. So, the next thing I have is I do have some yarn acquisitions and other acquisitions. A few things came in the mail while I was gone. Sadly, none of the yarn that I got did I get on my travels. I actually didn't see a single yarn shop anywhere we were, or even a shop that had like yarn in the corner of a gift shop, which I have found before. So no yarn found just by finding a cute little yarn shop somewhere, but some stuff that came in the mail. So, the first thing that came in the mail, this is from Slick Chick. I have never ordered any of the merch that came with pretty much anything, honestly. Oh, it came with some stickers. I have never ordered any of the like Sock Week merch, anything like that, but I absolutely fell in love with this one. So this is part of Nitty Natty and the Love and Stitches podcast Sock Week. I don't remember exactly when Sock Week is. I will see if I can look it up and put it in the description below. But if you like look up Sock Week, Nitty Natty Sock Week, I am sure anybody that has come here has probably found her before they found me. But this was part of the bag for one of the merch for Sock Week 2024. And I honestly just fell in love with Sock Squatch. I absolutely loved it. I wanted this bag. I actually have my next pair of socks planned to go in this bag. There was a couple of different ways to do it. I don't know if you can still get this bag, but it came in like the day after we left. So I was very sad that I couldn't take it with me. It's got a nice like plastic bottom, and this, I think it's a faux leather. But it definitely feels like a very, very sturdy bag, and I like that it's waterproof. So that is my first acquisition there. The next one right here on top that I will do is from Lady Pearl Designs. There we go. So this is her Nerdy Knit Kit. I skipped the one that came the month before this, but this one, the theme was The Legend of Zelda. My husband absolutely loves The Legend of Zelda. The next one that's coming up is the Helluva Boss Has-Been Hotel Universe. So I may end up ordering that one because I have 2 daughters that absolutely love that, and one of them crochets. So I may end up just ordering it for her specifically. I don't know yet. So the little things that came with it is a Heart Potion Charm. I think some of the color in it may have settled weird, but it's just a little potion bottle. A Majora's Mask keychain. This I will probably give to my husband because I think he will love it. And a Triforce of Wisdom Courage Bar of Soap. So this is the scent Driftwood and Amber. And then the yarn is, this one was an Aran weight, which the other times I've got it, it was fingering weight. I don't know if I did something different or if the weight of yarn changes a little bit. But this one is the color The Legend of Link, which, I mean, it bugs me a little bit since the game is The Legend of Zelda, but the colors definitely match Link. I'm not 100% sure what I'll do with it since it is an Aran weight. I don't use that a lot, and I may have to look up a pattern to do with that yarn. All right. So the next thing I have on here is a subscription. So if you are a subscriber to Yarnable and you have not yet received your item, sorry, moving a box out of the way, I think it may have been louder than I intended. So if you are a Yarnable subscriber and you have not yet received your package, this would not be a good time to watch. I'll give you a moment to turn away if you'd like. All right, so this July theme, I'm actually a little sad I wasn't able to get it before I traveled because it would have been a great spare yarn to travel with. The theme is Oh My Stars. So the first thing it came with is Cotton Candy Pop Rocks. One of my kids will probably eat this. A stitch marker from Monster Knits. That is a little red, white, and blue stars. And a package of try-on cords. I think these are Yarnable brand. They have Yarnable on it, so I'm guessing that means they came from Hypnotic Yarn. So, simple little, very much 4th of July themed. Why am I blanking on what those are? The little side gifts were very much 4th of July themed. I don't know why suddenly I lost track of my words. As I said, I did travel back yesterday, so maybe that's all it is. Here is the July 2024 sock yarn, Oh My Stars. So like I said, that would have been a fun one, especially since my spare yarn, I ended up starting and finishing a sock on the 4th of July, so this would have been very appropriate for that time. I don't know if I will cast these on sometime soon, as it is that summer colors, because it's very much 4th of July themed, and it is not 4th of July anymore. So I don't know when I'll do that. But I do like the yarn. So the last acquisitions that I got, I did order from Furls Fiber Arts. They had their 11th birthday? 12th birthday? I should remember off the top of my head which it was. Let me see if it says in here. It does not. So because of their birthday, they usually release a special birthday hook. This year, the hook was a black metal. I got a size 6mm. And I think that is just an absolutely beautiful one. I also ordered one for my daughter, but she has that one. And then she needed some more yarn from them to finish a blanket. I did end up ordering enough to get their little bonus birthday bag. And then I also ordered some yarn for them. Last year, I believe it was, they had a birthday blanket kit, and the only way to get that pattern was to buy the kit, but they only offered the kit in their one celebration color set. I didn't actually like those colors, but I liked the pattern. So this year you could get it in multiple sets. I picked out the neutral colors, and I did it mostly just to get the pattern because I have plenty of yarn. I'm not exactly sure when I will make that blanket. We will see how I'm feeling, because I do have another blanket going. I do have my shrug, and then I am planning on getting started on a few other projects that may take just a little bit of time. Now that vacation is over, I want to kind of work on cleaning up some of these long-term projects. So that is all of my acquisitions. I'm getting surrounded by a few things, so I'm going to move stuff for just 1 second, and then I will talk a little bit about my trip. All right, so for my trip, there's going to be a lot of details that I'm not even going to try to fill in because, again, I traveled for more than a week, so there's a lot that happened. I left on, today is Monday the 8th. I left on the last Friday in June. So I got off work, we got in the car, and we started driving because we knew it was going to be a long trip, and we wanted to get halfway or close to halfway there on one day and then finish the trip the next day so that when we got there we had a little bit of energy. Not necessarily a lot, but at least enough energy to actually do that, hi, how are you, visiting that you do the moment you get somewhere. And we also knew that we had plans to like do stuff starting the next day. So I got off work and we drove, and we were aiming to hit Salt Lake City because when we drove, we would go down through Utah and then into Colorado. We got to Salt Lake City and we ended up pushing just a little bit farther, and we stayed the night in Provo in a hotel that was nothing special. Got up the next morning, took off, and then got to Colorado that evening. If you've never done a drive down through Utah and up into the Rockies, absolutely beautiful drive. I've never been through any of that area, so it was definitely fun for me. My husband and my 2 kids have been a couple of times, but because I was studying and working the last couple of years, I didn't go along. They went without me. So this was the first time I'd made the trip, and I was really happy. It was very, very beautiful. So we got there on Saturday. On Sunday, we went to this gigantic Renaissance fair. I honestly do not remember the name of the town. If I can look it up, I will link it below. But my in-laws live outside of Colorado Springs. I have a brother-in-law who lives in Colorado Springs, and this is a gigantic Renaissance fair that's like a half an hour away from Colorado Springs. So if you know what I'm talking about, or if you know the area, if you're in that area, you may be able to Google it, but apparently it only happens on the weekends. So we got there on Saturday. We went to this Renaissance fair on Sunday. It was incredibly busy. Like, if you get there, you're either going to want to arrive like 20 minutes early, or maybe in the afternoon it might be a little bit better, because we were waiting in line in this traffic for like 30 minutes. Once we got in, there was people who went all out with their costuming. I didn't have a big costume to wear, so sadly there's no fun pictures of that to put in. But they had so many different things, a lot of booths from artisans. I got like some local honey, which I happen to love local honey. And then I also did get this mug from a pottery studio that has aspen trees on it. One of the things I liked about it is I have a painting for my brother that has aspen trees. There's also aspen trees all over the property where my in-laws live. So that made it very special. I'd been looking for a nice handmade mug like this for a while. So I'm very, very happy with what I got. So that was Sunday. Monday, we were going to go to the zoo, but then we learned you had to book in advance when we got there. And so instead we went to Garden of the Gods, which is either in or just outside Colorado Springs. I honestly am not entirely sure where I was most of the time we were there, but it was all within an hour or so around Colorado Springs. Maybe 2 hours for one place we went. But we went to Garden of the Gods, which is basically, it's a free place you walk through, and it's gigantic rocks. It's really just walk through, see the big rocks. And I mean, it was beautiful. When I say it that way, it sounds like kind of a boring nothing thing. But when you're there and you're looking up at these gigantic things, it is amazing. And it was quite beautiful there. And they had like this very beautiful, like reddish color to the rocks in areas of Colorado and Utah that they don't have here in Idaho. So that was Monday. On Tuesday, we went to the zoo, which was a lot of fun. I got a lot of pictures and things like that. If you are following me over on my Instagram, I am working on slowly getting through all of the video clips and everything that I took while we were there. So if they're not already up when you see this, they probably will be up soon. But it was a lot, so it's taking me a little bit, and I was so busy the whole week I wasn't keeping up on it. So we went to the zoo on Tuesday. On Wednesday and Thursday, we just stayed out at my in-laws. They have a piece of property in a small town near Colorado Springs. So they're just kind of up in the mountains, and it was peaceful. So Wednesday, I was helping my mother-in-law get everything ready. Thursday was the 4th of July. A bunch of family came out, and it was a big barbecue, hung out, talked. I did a lot of knitting. Decently relaxed. Because we were out in the woods, there was no fireworks or anything because, we were not going to start a forest fire in Colorado. And luckily, I think a lot of people had the same opinion because there was not a forest fire in our area. So Friday, we drove about an hour and a half to a smallish town called Breckenridge. I guess it's a big skiing village, and we just kind of wandered through there, and I got some more local honey. I found a few little pair of earrings, not these ones. And then on Saturday, we went to a wolf reserve, and it was absolutely amazing. A little bit heartbreaking because it talks about some of the wolf hunting laws and why they are endangered species, and that there's actually people trying to make laws so that they can no longer be classified as endangered species, which to me just seems ridiculous because if we don't classify them as endangered species, then they are not protected at all, and then they go extinct, and then we do have scientific evidence as to why wolves are important for the ecosystem here in America. So that was a little bit startling to me, but they were also just so beautiful to see. And they also had foxes and coyotes. There was this one moment in that tour where everything just kind of stopped for a little bit, and they had all of the people in the tour just like give a little howl, and then we all went absolutely silent, and you could hear all of the wolves like howl back at you for like a solid minute. And it was weirdly amazing. I think it's one of those things that you'd have to be there to totally understand just how weirdly nice it is to be in the middle of a bunch of howling wolves. I think in most situations that would not be a good thing. So that was Saturday. Sunday, we got in the car at 3:30 in the morning, and we made the drive back to Idaho in one day because I have to be back to work on Tuesday. I was not originally planning on filming today because I have to go back to work on Tuesday, but I did plan that one extra day so that if something happened in our travel and our travel took longer, I would not be getting back home at like 2 a.m. and then having to go to work. And so since being home, I've been organizing my projects. I mean, after finishing 4 pairs of socks, I need to start a new pair of socks because I always have a pair of socks going. And then I also wanted to get my sleeves cast on before going back to work. We've done about 6 loads of laundry this morning. Wanted to get all of that going through. Wanted to make sure the grocery shopping didn't need to be done. All of those little things that you need to do before you go back to work for several days. And I thought about leaving the filming until next weekend and just not posting on schedule, but honestly, I didn't want to be behind on that either, for one, but with most of my projects being 4 pairs of finished socks, it seemed like it would be easy to get the brain power to talk about everything, but based on how many times I think I stared off into space searching for a simple word, may not have had the brain power I thought I did. But with all of that, that is all I have for today. Thank you for listening to me ramble after a long day and 0 brain power. I am going to edit this video so that it can get up on time and get started on some of my other projects. I hope that you have something wonderful that you are working on as well. And until next time, have a very happy making.